In the world of true crime, some stories are so chilling they leave a permanent scar on the collective consciousness. But what happens when a killer doesn't act like you'd expect? What happens when the courtroom, typically a place of tension and solemnity, becomes a stage for a shocking display of emotion, a grin? This is the story of one of the most unnerving criminals to ever stand trial, a man who terrified people not by his crimes, but by his unsettling courtroom behavior. This is the story of the killer who smiled in court. The crime that shook a community. Before the smile, there was the crime. It was a brutal murder, one that left a community in disbelief. The victim, a young woman in her prime, was found in a gruesome scene that sent shockwaves through the neighborhood. The case quickly turned into a media frenzy, with all eyes on the investigation. As detectives pieced together evidence, they zeroed in on a suspect, a man with no history of violence, no criminal record. Yet, the evidence was damning. The arrest was quick, and the man, later identified as John Doe, was charged with the murder of his girlfriend. But what was most disturbing wasn't the crime, it was his reaction. During the arrest, John was eerily calm, his face betraying no emotion as officers read him his rights. As the days passed, investigators began to see a disturbing pattern. John seemed unfazed by the gravity of the situation. He made no attempt to defend himself, nor did he show any remorse. Instead, he remained eerily passive, as if the murder was just another insignificant event in his life. The real shock, however, came during his trial. It was here that John's behavior would truly terrify those watching. Instead of the expected solemnity, he appeared remarkably relaxed, even jovial at times. As witnesses testified about the brutality of the murder, John sat there, smiling. When his defense attorney made a point, John would chuckle to himself, as if it were all some sick joke. His grin, wide and unsettling, was a sharp contrast to the heartbreaking testimonies and the horror of the crime itself. Courtroom observers were taken aback. How could someone accused of such a heinous crime act in such a bizarre, almost gleeful manner? Was he mocking the victims? Was he relishing the attention? His smile sent a shiver down the spines of everyone in the room. The prosecution's case was solid, but it was John's behavior, his sheer audacity in the face of such a serious matter, that truly disturbed the public and the jury. The psychopath in plain sight. As the trial progressed, psychological evaluations revealed that John's behavior was symptomatic of something far more sinister. Experts in criminal psychology debated whether he was a psychopath or suffering from some form of mental illness. His lack of empathy, his disregard for human life, and his ability to smile in the face of tragedy pointed to a man who felt nothing, no remorse, no guilt, no fear. But was this simply a case of mental illness, or was John simply a cold, calculating killer who knew exactly what he was doing? His courtroom demeanor suggested the latter, a man who didn't fear the consequences, who didn't care about the lives he destroyed. The verdict and aftermath. When the verdict was finally delivered, John was found guilty of the murder. But even as the gavel struck, his smile never faded. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But for those who witnessed his trial, the real punishment was the memory of that smile, a smile that haunted them long after the case was closed. As the years passed, John's case became a textbook example of the psychopathic killer, someone who didn't just kill with their hands, but with their mind, with their chilling ability to detach from the world around them. His behavior in court remains one of the most terrifying aspects of the case. He didn't just terrify with his crime, he terrified with his demeanor, showing the world a side of himself that was both foreign and deeply unsettling. The case of the killer who smiled in court serves as a haunting reminder of the depths to which some criminals will sink. While most of us would expect a killer to show remorse, guilt, or at least fear, John Doe shattered that expectation. His smile wasn't just an expression, it was a window into a twisted mind, one that saw no boundaries, no morality, and no consequence. His trial didn't just expose the brutality of his crime, it revealed the true horror of a man who was terrifying in his complete lack of empathy. As we reflect on this chilling case, we are left to wonder, how many more like him walk among us, hiding in plain sight, smiling at the world while secretly harboring dark, unspeakable thoughts?